Man, I love women, man. And the way that I'm talking about is like, I was raised by women, man. My grandma, my mom, my aunties, my cousins. I love all of you so much. Also, the girls that I met like in school, the girls that I dated, also super influential. And I just really want to break down how like femininity has like really like influenced my life. I'll make another video about how masculinity has actually made an effect on my life. Women have been so amazing in my world. See, the thing is like, I've always grown up to be like a really creative person, an expressive person. You know what I mean? So like I used to draw and write all the time, make comic books. Like whatever words and feelings I had, I would express them onto paper or through music or like singing or like anything. And women were always nurturing with that type of stuff. They were always like telling me to express myself, and I would always do that. Now, when it came to my mom, she like exemplified sweetness and expression. She was my role model when it came to that kind of stuff, you know? And with my grandma, she and I were actually born December 6th, same day. And she was the one that was always like the most expressive of the family. She would always be like drawing, writing. She would always be like doing various projects. She would make clothing, all sorts of really cool shit. Like I made this necklace right here, and I decided to add this earring of Frida Kahlo onto it too, because I just think it's so cool that like women have always, to me, seemed to be far more open to expressing themselves, which just vibrates naturally with who I am. Even when I was a kid, man, I remember watching a video for, I think it's Waterfalls by TLC, and you know, that was considered to be girl music. And I loved like boy music too, metal and punk and stuff, but like when it came to like pop music and stuff, I loved it too, because the melodies were gorgeous, man. And the way that women's voice sounded like in song was gorgeous. Now, one thing I wanted to just mention is that there's this girl named Hannah that I went to school with, right? We went to school through elementary, middle, and high, but this specific moment I think happened in high school, where my friend had an experience with somebody that I felt a little way about, and I felt really bad about it, to be honest. I'm not gonna get into it too much, but I remember talking to Hannah about it, and I was like telling her I'm holding back my tears. I said, I feel really weak because I want to cry. And she's like, crying isn't weakness. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what she said. You know, I was like, you're right. And I just let myself bawl my eyes out. From that point onwards, for the rest of my life, even till today, I love crying. Crying feels incredible because it's like an expression of who I am. And at this point, it feels like there's sparkles coming out of my face. As like a cis, hetero dude, that is so liberating for me, man. And I love that. I love that shit. And when it came to like the girls that I dated, they're always just like this wild card that I was a part of since I was 16 years old, you know? I dated my first girlfriend for 5 years, from 16 to 21. And she taught me things that like I had no idea about. Like even when it came to hydration, she always carried a water bottle, and I still carry a water bottle around as a habit because of her. You know what I mean? I hydrate my lips all the time. She introduced me to like Dostoevsky and stuff like this, you know, like intellectually challenged me. She introduced me to music that was like way more esoteric than I listened to, and she was initially attracted to me for my uniqueness and how I stood out in psychology class and like all this other stuff. And it was like really important that I met her, and I made some of my best music because of her. And then, you know, the later girlfriends that I would experience would teach me things about like finances and stuff, because all the girls that I dated were always really intelligent. That's what I really loved about them. I loved their minds and their creativity, or how well they're able to, you know, be logical better than I could, you know, and that made me raise my own personal bar, you know. And so I wanted to just make a little video about how like all the women in my world have shaped me to be a lot more expressive, not be afraid of like being soft and tender. And I understood that like my sensitivity, which I used to shy away from for like years and years and years, I've come to find is actually like a real superpower for me, you know? I've always found that like whenever I would feel a certain way, I would often judge myself and go, Am I right about feeling this way? I have no idea, but over time I've come to find that like that sensitivity is like a finely tuned engine, man, and it's calibrated really, really finely. And through everything that I've learned, I've come to find that it lines up perfectly with my intuition, and I love that. And I have all the women in the world to thank for that. And that's incredible, and I'm so excited to meet more, learn and grow more. Thank you to all the women in my life. I dedicate this video to you and, you know, for making me who I am. I've come to find that at this point, with like everything that I've learned from the women that I grew up with, is funnily enough, I actually like really relate to a lot of the girlfriends that my guy friends are dating. You know, it's really funny, but even like my sister-in-law, I relate to her so much. The girls in my life seem to like pick up on things that I pick up on, and like vice versa. It's really strange. It's almost like I find myself almost thinking in a similar way to them in a lot of different ways. It just like logically, intuitively just comes to me, and I don't really know how to explain it. But it's kind of like a funny and interesting dynamic that I picked up on like here now that I've moved in Vancouver. It's a really unexpected and really cool surprise. Which I think is great. And then I have no fear, no worry about expressing myself in the slightest. If anything, it pisses me off to be told to be like boxed in and hide my like feelings and shit. Fuck all that, man. There's no way I'm gonna allow that to continue to happen. And this last year has taught me to be far more expressive and, you know, not doubt any of the feelings and intuition that I feel, because why would I? You know what I mean? If there's an issue that I have with somebody, it's way more important to me to just go talk to them and say, hey man, there's this thing that happened, why don't we talk about it? You know, and I think that is a really great way to resolve things, you know what I mean? And so expression is incredible, it's important, and I'm so thankful. And you know, even though the body that I got is like a guy, I grew up a guy and I'm totally proud of it. I don't feel a need to be like, change my gender or anything like this, but when it comes to like what my spirit is, I genuinely feel like there's no definition to it. You know, I feel like the spirit that I have that carries this male body doesn't have any definition, and it just carries through with me. You know, in addition to like the inner child that I have and my inner teenager and my adult self that I currently am, I feel like if I was born a girl, I would be probably way fiercer and way more harsh like at a younger age, just because of the natural oppression that women typically do face in this world. I don't think there's too much of a distinction between who I am if I was a guy or a girl, you know? And yeah, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to like all the women in the world, because like, man, you've grown me in a way that I never ever could have without all of you. And I love you all, and yeah, I can't wait to see what the future brings. Later.